So the example I have taken here, functionality is one of the quality parameter. So whether it is functioning properly or not, okay, that is one. Usability, whether it is user friendly, okay. So if it is not, then how we can make that application user friendly? That is basically a part of usability testing. So whether my application is reliable or not, that is again, there is a question. Application is there, net banking is there, but still we are not using the net banking because we are not very much sure that whatever transition we will make, whether it will be reliable or not. That is the thing. So how you will make your system more reliable? If you make your system reliable, then it will be, even though it is usable, it will be unutilized, right? Performance is one of the criteria. Supportability, whether it will support only XP or whether 5 years down the line, if I want to migrate my application from one operating system to another operating system, whether it will be migrated up to with some modification or it cannot be done. So whatever it is. So these are the different aspects which will help you to understand what type of testing is required to your application. But very basic is functionality, whether it is web-based application, console-based application, desktop application, okay. The very basic quality parameter is functionality, okay. So that always we have to ensure that it is functioning as per the defined specification, okay. So when it comes to functional testing, let me again just show you, although we are very much familiar with this, okay. So we know SDLC, software development lifecycle. The same way we have software testing lifecycle, okay, which starts from your planning phase where you do the planning about the testing. You basically identify the mechanisms for the testing. What are the different approaches you are going to use? What are the different tools you are going to use? What will be the budgeting for the project? How many resources you require for the project? All that is a part of test planning. Test designing, there you identify how many test cases can be driven from the use cases, or what will be the base of test case identification, how many scenarios, how to identify the test data. So it is something like you are going inside the to the implementation phase, okay. Test development, actually the test cases are written, then test execution, you perform those actions against the application and check that whether it is functioning or not. At the end, you basically compare the expected result with the actual one, and then you come to know if there is a deviation in that, you say, oh, there is a defect. If there is no deviation, you say test pass, right? So that is what the part of result analysis. And once you find a defect, one is to resolve it, right? So tester is not supposed to resolve the defect. Tester is supposed to identify the defect and send it to the specific developer who can resolve it. And again, the retesting can be done, and then which will ensure that yes, that defect is logged. For that, again, you require a tool, or maybe you can write those defect specifications somewhere in the specific format, okay, and you can send it to the specific person who can resolve it. So this is the normal testing life cycle we follow. Now, if you see in this particular testing life cycle, this is what 3-4 steps we have now. So this is something we have discussed about the different quality parameters of the testing, okay. Now there are two ways of testing. One is manual testing, means a human being can directly involve in this. One can sit in front of the application, then he can perform those actions, provide those test data, and compare those test results. If there is a deviation, we say defect, and so all such things. The complete testing life cycle, if it is carried out by the human, we say it's manual testing, right? So this is what the part of manual testing. Now, but what happens? It has got its own limitations. Consider that net banking application is developed, okay? Now bank is planning to introduce this net banking for 20,000 customers. Definitely for 20,000 customers, we have to create 20,000 username and password. Whole development took 2 years. Now to test the small functionality, login functionality for 10,000 username and password, how many days you require? If you are going with the manual testing, we don't know how many days we require and how many testers we require. In such cases where the data-driven testing is required, where huge amount of data needs to be tested on the application, then the automation comes in the picture, right? So in automation, you can capture a script for the login functionality, and then with the help of programming languages, scripting languages, what you can do, you can write your all username and password somewhere in the Excel sheet, and by the programming you can import those, you can call those username and password to the script, and then just by running that script, you can test all those 10,000 username and password. So this is where the automation tools comes in the picture, right? Which helps your system more simpler. So this is one of the aspects where the automation can be used. So testing is not like we tested once and we deliver to the customer and done. No, it's a long process. So maybe the first release is given to the customer is using it. Next day customer says, I want to change this look and feel, I want to add these new features. Again, you are making changes in your old application, new release comes in the picture. Whenever the new release is coming in the picture, again you have to test it again. It is not like only 20% features are changed, so we have to just test those 20% features. No. There may be a ripple effect, yes, because of 20% features, there may be some impact on 80% features. So how to use application? And it will do its job, right? It will check all those things and then at the end you get the result. This is where the automation can be used. Generally, automation testing tool is treated as a regression testing tool. Why? Because it is actual benefit of automation testing tools come from the second release onwards, second build onwards. Okay. So these are the few things we have already discussed. Okay. Now let me take you through the tool. So as I told you, we have two different components. One is rational functional tester, another is rational quality manager. Okay. So this is what rational functional tester. It is an automation tool which can help you to record and playback those scripts, and then you can define your expected result, and automatically it will check expected with the actual, and then it will log those defects. Okay, that is the job of the functional testing tool. If you see, the rational functional tester is an object-oriented automation testing application. Means the methodology it is using, it is object-oriented. Does not mean that it will not support a product which is developed using structural programming language. No. Any kind of application which is developed in any technology can be tested using RFT, but internal mechanism it considers each and every component as an object. So that is, again, we know the advantages of OOAD. Okay, so that will again can help us in the testing. Okay, and since the framework is Eclipse, very simple, easy to learn, like we have seen RSA. Okay, and these are the different things. Okay, so I told you in the beginning that even if your application is complex, it is composition of legacy system, SOA based application, or you are using SAP or something, okay, Siebel based, Ajax specs, all it is possible with the help of RFT. These are the different technologies supported. So terminal based application, your mainframe is there, you want to access that mainframe from some other desktop, okay, you require terminal emulator, okay, which can help you to access those things. So all such things can be tested using this. So these are the features of your RFT. So verification, validation points are there. Now let me take you towards the last tool, that is Rational Quality Manager. By the name it is very much clear. You can manage all quality related aspects. Okay, all your testing related assets, whatever test plan, test cases, scenarios you are going to create, all such things can be done. Okay, so this is what. So again, when it comes to quality control, again we need to consider the informations from the various sources. Okay, so there may be so many testers, okay, who are involved in this testing project. Okay, so again you require again a collaborative environment which can help you to manage all the testing related things. Okay, and this RQM can be integrated with all other various tools which we have discussed. Okay, requirements, designing. Okay, so that the requirement elements, designing element can be taken into this. Okay, consideration. So in short, this will help you to mitigate the business risk. There you can define a role for your different testers. You can define a workflow item for the different testers. You can define the test case templates, okay, and all such things which will help you to do the testing faster. So these are the few things. You can create test plan, okay. All such testing related things which we have discussed can be done using RQM, okay. You can create individual work items for testers, and you can keep track of all such things, what is happening, what is the status. Again, in RQM you get a dashboard. There you can generate various reports, okay, related to the testing. Okay, so this is the way basically the RQM works. Okay, so that's all from my perspective. Okay, this is all about the rational seed and seed for quality.